Thanks for tuning in to Loser Kid Pinball Podcast. I am Josh Roop. With me, my co-captain, as always,
Scott Larson.
We are on episode 158, and Scott, we're back from Expo. We're kind of...
Wait. We missed like 7 episodes?
What did I say?
158.
Oh, we're on 151. I thought I said 151, but...
You know what? 8s, 1s, it's kind of all the same.
Whatever works, you know. We're over 150, so it doesn't really matter anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they all blur together at this point.
They're like 2 whatever.
Yeah. You know? We're still way behind Ron and Bruce, yeah.
Exactly. Hey, plenty of games we saw at Expo. If you're going to buy any of these games, who are you buying them from?
You know, Zach and Nicole Manny, they were so busy at Expo, actually. I don't even know if they got on the floor much because they were fielding a lot of requests and a lot of things. Okay, there are so many games. I'm not even going to specify which one you should get because we're going to talk about them all. Go ahead and reach out to them because they really are great to work with. And really, he gets so many messages in a day. Really, it is just efficient to text or message because he'll get back to you really quickly. And he's always got back to me really quickly. You too, Josh, right?
Yep. Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And also if you want those accessories, I actually want to get some speaker lights for Rush. And I think I'm going to get the Godzilla ones too.
Sounds
Give
good,
it a shot.
Yeah. So let's so we did a day 1 recap and then we kind of slacked.
Yeah. Well, okay. We were so busy, so it's fine. So let's do a quick recap as soon as I cough. Okay. So no, you were there a little bit before me. So remind me what you did the day before.
So on Wednesday, we got in. Julie was very nice to pick my father-in-law and I up from the airport.
Yep.
And I want to say we went straight to the hotel. Yes. And then we went and got P.F. Chang's. I'm sorry, we have one in Utah. I don't fully understand why I went to P.F. Chang's, but hey.
Okay.
It was all right. I bought spicy chicken. I did not get spicy on my chicken. It was like sweet and sour chicken.
Okay, I feel like P.F. Chang's was something that I liked doing 15 years ago. Like,
yeah.
Am I wrong on that? It just feels like it's like something I used to do in the past, but I am not interested in much anymore. Because Payway was kind of like the cheap version of P.F. Chang's.
Yes.
But
and I still enjoy Payway.
I don't like Payway anymore. It's like so much salt. Like really, it's like a salt lick.
Yeah, it kind of is now you say that. So we did that, right? And it's attached to the mall where Interium's at. So after we're done with P.F. Chang's, we kind of went through the mall. And then the first night, so Wednesday is always kind of like their pre-party. And I guess, so we had been invited to Beatty's house, but every year it sounds like Beatty's house is packed. And it's
like Beatty's. Yeah, we went there. There may or may not be a sticker underneath the podcasting table that I may or may not have put there a few years ago.
But the thing is like, well, we're like, well, we'll go to Interium because it's part of the package deal, right?
Sure.
And we show up into Interium and we're actually early, like, and it's packed. I was like, oh.
And Interium's big. Interium's not small.
And it's not a small arcade. It's huge. And it's already packed shoulder to shoulder getting in there. And I'm like, oh my. And so I kind of turned to Julie and Craig Bobby. Craig Bobby was with us as well.
Hey, and Craig Bobby.
I told him we're just going to grab the shuttle and head back to the hotel because it's already been a long day.
Sure, you're tired.
I'm tired because my son woke up at 2:00 and was having a rough time. So it was much like, and our flight left early. So it was like, anywho, I hadn't had sleep from 2 a.m. my time, and now we're an hour ahead kind of thing.
Yep.
And I was like, I got to go get some rest. And so we went back to the hotel. But as we're getting on the shuttle to leave for the hotel, 2 bus loads from Expo show up with more people. Interium's not going to be any fun now. Like, you couldn't even get into so there's a tournament area where all the pinball machines are at. Well, I guess that's where all the pinball machines are now. They had more on the other side, but now they only have in one area. That place is packed, and I can't even imagine what it was like after the 2 bus loads showed up. So, anywho, we just went back and chilled. Kind of went to bed afterwards, and then got to Stern on Thursday. And that's kind of where we pick up because you came in on Thursday afternoon.
I came in Thursday afternoon, and thankfully a lot of people had already left. So you got to see Metallica, and we did talk about Metallica. Recap, Metallica is awesome.
Yes.
Okay, I am super excited if this is what they're going to do for older games that are legendary, that really could be brought up to modern standards by by basically leveling them up. I want to see them do this for Lord of the Rings. I want to see them do this for Tron. You could even argue AC/DC. Throw AC/DC in there and give this treatment too.
Well, what was amazing too is Borg was telling us like it looks like the same Metallica, but there's little itty bitty
Right?
differences to make the gameplay better. Like he was going down to like the millimeter of the
Yep.
ramps. Like the new
Hmm.
one's just slightly shorter or something like that than the old one.
Yep.
I was kind of baffled. Um, but it's really cool to see how much detail goes into these games. And so it raised a ton of questions for me. I'm like, we have to have Gomez back on soon.
We'll
Or
get Gomez back on. We actually did reach out to Borg, so we saw Borg.
yes,
We want to get him on because I still want to talk about Rush. I want to talk about
yes,
Rush. So what we actually saw tons of people, and we made a lot of contacts that we are hoping to bring on to the podcast. Um, I People obviously love the expo recaps and all that kind of stuff,
yeah,
and the reveal. However, where we really stand out from a lot of people is because we do in-depth analysis with people who are in the industry, and it's really been a fun part of our gig. So I'm really excited to see all the people that we got on, even some kind of high level people. So that was nice.
yep. We talked about the media mixer. It was fantastic. I'm still gloating about the 21 people I knocked out on James Bond for
Yep.
stall ball. Won a little cash there, and
Yep.
that was a blast.
And
It
by the way, so many people came up, and they came up to you too. I really, from the bottom of our hearts, we are so thankful for all the people who came up and said they enjoyed listening to us. And so
yes,
for all of you who are in that third chair, that silent third chair that we consider part of the podcast, we really do appreciate you. And
yes.
it's so much fun to see that it makes a difference for you.
What make
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it just made me chuckle because you listened to the pinball show this week, and I did too. There's a moment where Zach talks about he flips around and there was a kid that like realized this is Zach Mini and like kind of
Right.
like fangirled out, right? We had that moment once or twice too. I remember it happening at the media mixer. I don't know who the gentleman was. He was very nice. He's like, "Oh, you're Josh from Loser Kid."
Super nice. Yeah, he was super nice, very friendly,
Yeah,
and it's great. Like we love this,
yeah,
by the way. Like if you see us at somewhere wearing our hats, we probably are exhausted. We are happy to talk with you though, because
yep,
that really is why we go to these things, because it's fun. It's fun
yeah.
interacting with people. We like talking pinball. That's the reason why we're doing this podcast.
I didn't realize how much of a toll it was. Sorry, I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit. I didn't realize how much of a toll it was till you and I were sitting in on Dwight's "Let's Make a Deal," and
Yes.
it just hit me. I was like powering down, and I was
Yep.
like, the weight of the whole week was on me, and I was just like, oh, I've got to go to bed because I just
Yeah. Okay. You missed some epic dollar games that we're going to talk about.
yes.
Um,
Okay, so back to
okay.
Media Mixer was
Media mixer.
fantastic.
Okay.
We got back. Did I can't remember. Well, we recorded the podcast. I guess that's what
We
we did after
recorded.
we got
Yeah.
back.
So as a
Um,
quick recap, it was very Metallica heavy,
yes.
because it was the new thing that we had an inkling that that Stern was thinking of doing something. So I'm ecstatic that they were able to show it to us. Really a big recap. The light show is better. The
Yes.
layout is tweaked to be better. The art is better. I I do. By the way, I'm still getting over my cough that I had 6 weeks ago, so I'm trying to not blow your ears out. The music, there's more music in this, and Raymond, who is the heir apparent, in my humble opinion, to Lyman's legacy of balanced, deep, complex rule sets. He is adding stuff to Metallica.
Yeah.
So and this is not just a repolish, like this isn't a lazy, hey, we want to sell a few hundred games thing. They really push this as if it were a cornerstone.
Yeah. A lot of love and care into it. It's
Yes.
amazing.
So I and really, the good thing, we talked about this, the best thing Stern does is they make the LE worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, you can argue, okay, I can do some of that myself, which is true. However, you're going to get a complete package with the LE. But the good thing about Stern is, even if you decide to go with the premium, you can get a good alternative.
Yeah.
to the LE. You can still get the speaker lights. You can still get the expression lights. You can still get a lot of stuff. It's not going to be an LE, but it still feels valuable.
Yep.
And that's huge to make sure people still are satisfied regardless of which tier they're going for. So if you have not had a Metallica, I'd buy it. I'd buy this version. It's so good.
Yep. Actually, two more things that we covered that day. Just kind of recap now that we've kind of stewed on it and sat on it. I almost said Magic Girl, not Magic Girl, Alice in Wonderland.
Alice, yeah.
What did you think? Now that
Okay,
you've had some time to think about it.
so we did find out, and I did talk to it's Melvin, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I talked to Melvin and I asked him about it. It's like, were the upper flippers like were they disabled? He's like, well, you probably got a pass through, which
Oh,
means I was able to get up to the upper playfield without earning it.
yeah.
And so when we recorded earlier, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. I got up there and I couldn't get it. So I I had I had unearned accomplishments in the game by getting up there. So that made it. It still shoots okay.
Yeah.
It is heavy on presentation, on art, on vibe. It's really heavy on that type of thing. It's going to look really pretty in your art room.
Yeah.
I would still argue that this is still, if you only have one game, this is not it.
Yeah, I agree. The other thing too is I can't remember who said it, but now that I've been thinking back about it, I have played Raza, I have played Magic Girl. This Alice in Wonderland is probably the best shooting J-pop game after Bally Williams. I think that now that I stew on it and whatnot, the shots felt good. There was a couple shots I avoided. Um, but overall, they felt fine. Like I wanted to shoot stuff, and it's hard to tell on the video because we posted a video and they're like, "Oh, you were shooting shots," and they were rejecting. No, there's like
No, there's stuff.
stand up
There's
target,
stuff.
not
Yeah.
stand up. There's drop targets up underneath that playfield and stuff. So you're actually hitting like stuff underneath that massive playfield. The one thing I don't like, and I hope Melvin takes this thought process. Really, there should be a give me for the upper playfield, just so someone gets to play it for the first time.
Right.
Because we both played for a while and never you got the pass
Yeah.
through, and I never got anything out of it either. It's kind of your main feature. I mean, it takes up like the upper third of the playfield. There really should be a moment where it says, "Hey, shoot here," and you get to play it once, so that way you get the bug to, "Hey, I want to get back up there." Um, that's really my only criticism outside of like it just needs a little more polish. Overall, though, it feels like a great game.
Well, okay, I
Not
wouldn't say
not
great.
not for my okay.
I
Feels
wouldn't
like
say
a
great.
good game.
Feels like a good. Okay, now go with me on this. If you're old enough, you may actually identify with this analogy. So when Def Leppard came out with Hysteria, the idea was, and Mutt Lange, who produced it, he also did Back in Black. He also did Shania Twain stuff and was married to Shania Twain for a while. He wanted to have Hysteria as like Michael Jackson's Thriller, where any song could be released as a single, which is why it took 2 years to make.
Okay.
He spent so much time on it. So, and they even did like almost like back to back tours with that because it was by far their biggest album. So that, they just did one tour, and I don't even know if they unpacked their bags. They just did it again, and they made so much money off that tour. So when their next release came out, everybody was anticipating this is going to be Hysteria 2.0. And it was Adrenalize. The first single was Let's Get Rocked. And the second single was Making Love Like a Man. I'm a Man. That's What I Am. Not kidding. That's the extent of the song. Okay, we all know that they sing about, sex and lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. But when you listen to it, you felt like, okay, the magic's gone. Like it is not the same quality. It's not the same focus. It's not the same presentation that they had before. And I would argue this is the Let's Get Rocked version of J-pop, where it's not going to be Theater of Magic. It's not going to be Circus Voltaire. It's not going to be Tales of the Arabian Nights. So if you want a late version of a J-pop game, this is it. I would argue there are better games for your money. But again, you make the decision.
I agree. And then the other thing I really want to point out, I'm addicted to pre-war games now, man.
Oh,
That whole section
okay.
there,
That's because you won a medal.
I did win a medal, and I was like one of only 3 people to get a high score on merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Uh,
You also
they're
cheated. You
cool.
brought a magnet and you just kind of moved the ball around.
No, no. I actually what it was
Sure,
is the
sure.
plunger, I used the lines and was able to figure out if you went about 3.5 down, it popped it right in every time.
Mm.
So,
I never actually played that game because the line was always so long.
yeah. But I've been looking at pre-war games. I know Jack Danger had posted a video years ago about some of those pre-war games. I've always been intrigued, right? Because they don't use electricity; they're all mechanical, like the
Yep.
weight of the ball. And so one I was really intrigued with was a baseball one where if you got right down the middle, you got a run or whatever it
Mhm.
was, and then
Actually, I played that one. That's the one I played.
yeah, that one's
It
fun.
it was, like, directly across from the tournament one or
Yep,
the yeah, I played that
yep.
one.
He actually had two of them, and then they had Jigsaw was the other one I was looking at because
Okay.
that one is like when you line up certain ones, you reveal the jigsaw puzzles, and you're trying to actually piece the puzzle together
Mhm.
based on where the balls drop. Fun, and really for the price of them, they're not terrible. So, anywho, I don't know. I would like to have a pre-war game. I don't need to have a whole
Okay, so
game room full, but
so
just
we have a
one.
wish list, so we'll send it out to the listeners. So you want a pre-war game, and I'm
The
assuming
merry-go-round, preferably, if you got one out there.
a functional one. You don't want a
Yes,
project, right?
correct.
Yeah. Okay, I'd be interested too, by the way.
I don't mind cleaning up, but I
Yeah,
don't wanna,
I
like,
can clean it.
rusted
I don't
bucket of
wanna repair
bolts.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next thing is we're kind of on the hunt for like a Stars or Meteor or something in the early solid state area.
Yeah, because 'cause you're
Uh,
addicted now to dollar games.
yeah, yeah, we'll talk about my success there. Yeah. Um,
Anywho,
so
that was day 1.
yeah, by the way, if you do know like decent prices and you could bundle a few together, we'd be interested. So let us know.
So day 2,
Okay.
I had my father-in-law was with me. He's never been downtown Chicago. He's an
Yep.
architect. So I took him to the architect tour, which I know you guys probably are interested about it since it's pinball, but I do want to give one little quick little thing. So if you've ever been to observation deck, they take you up to like the 96th floor on the
Hmm.
skyscraper, right? And you overlook the whole lake.
It's the
And
old Sears building, right? Like whatever they're
no,
calling it now.
no,
Is it something
it's
else?
not the oh,
Is it
what
a
is it?
Hancock building?
I can't remember, some insurance company. But anywho,
Okay,
so from there to get down to where the tours are, it's like a 20-minute walk.
sure.
And so my father-in-law really wanted a Chicago dog. So I like Devil Dogs that's downtown
Okay,
because they have this insanely good hot dog called It's Not a Corn Dog,
okay,
where they take Mexican elote, which is street corn, and they put it
okay,
on top of your hot dog. Delicious. But he
okay.
did traditional, right? Like the sports peppers, the tomatoes, the mustard, all that stuff, right? Anywho, so we get the hot dog and stuff, but we have about 15 minutes before can get to the boat.
Yeah.
And my GPS is telling me it's about a 20-minute walk. So we start booking it. We're running the whole way, right? We barely make it to the boat with 2 minutes to spare.
Mhm.
He whips out the tickets, hands it to the lady. She looks at us and she goes, "This is for the wrong tour. This is the wrong
Oh.
boat line. You actually need the other boat company that's that away about 15 minutes." Ah, and we went for a 45-minute boat ride. So we get there,
Oops.
and I was hoping to time this perfectly so that we'd be, like, done and back to Expo, like,
Yeah,
2-ish, if that,
yeah.
like, 1 o'clock, because you guys had lunch with Zach and Nicole Many with Flipping Out,
Yep,
and I really wanted to be there for that, and, anywho, so we walked back over to the other boat place, and we're like, "Okay, when's the next 45-minute?" Granted, this is 11 o'clock in the morning.
yep.
They're like, "Oh, the next 45 minutes at 4 o'clock in the afternoon."
Oh, jeez.
Oh, and I don't wanna let my father-in-law down because 'cause I'm like, "This is architecture. You're in Chicago, like,
This is what he wanted to see. Yeah.
yeah, this is." And so, like, "What's your next tour?" They're like, "It's the 90-minute tour. It starts in 30 minutes, and, it's 90 minutes long." We're like, "Well, sounds
Sure.
good." So
Sorry to
we
hear.
upgrade our tickets. It was what it was. And we, of course, had to do the beam. But, yeah, by the time we got back to Expo, it was like 4 o'clock.
Okay, however, I'll tell you my recap, though.
Okay.
So, we got up, we were kinda hungry, so we went to breakfast.
Okay.
It's a little later, we slept in a little bit. So, we went and got breakfast, and then we were trying to get with Zach and Nicole, a little later, but they had an appointment at 2 o'clock. So we're driving back from breakfast, mind you, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to go to lunch?" So, like, yeah, sure. So we basically went right back, picked up everybody, and we went from breakfast to lunch. Did you not know that?
I did.
Yeah.
It's
So
funny to hear.
I didn't. Now I didn't load up. I didn't go crazy. I had like some eggs and maybe some toast. So it's not like I was crazy, but
Yeah.
I, I was because we didn't realize we were going that early. But we definitely wanted to go with Zach and Nicole, and Joel was there, and John was there, and Craig, Bobby, and Julie were there, and so that was. I think I got everybody. I was trying to buy lunch, but Zach and Nicole would not let me. They just picked up the lunch, which again just shows how great they are, because they fed me. But we had I got a burger and I ended up like splitting it and handing it out, and it was really good, by the way. So uh, is it Jollies? Maybe it's Jollies. So then we got back, and then you were coming back, so we went and picked you up. So
Yeah.
that's essentially my day. I had
That's
breakfast
that's
and
what's
lunch
funny
and
is
picked you
because
up.
we had the hot dog at 10:30. So I'm like, "Are you guys hungry?" And you're like,
Yeah.
"No."
No, no, we're stuffed. Yeah.
So
And
so we
then we
so
go to
I
pick up
ordered.
Josh. We're
Yeah.
sitting at the train station and we're waiting, and the train comes in, and I text him like, "Is this you?" And he's like, "No, we're going to Hamilton something."
So it was Arlington Park,
Oh
and you
yeah,
stopped at Arlington Heights,
yeah.
which
And Arlington Heights was actually closer. It was like,
yeah,
okay, well, and you said no, we Arlington. I'm like, because I think I see, and then you saw us as you were driving away, and you're like, oh crap.
yep.
So we ended up going picking you up, and we came back, and then we started Expo night. That was pretty much that
Pretty
was
much it.
that recap.
I ordered Giordano's,
Yeah.
which I've decided I do like Giordano's more than Lou's.
Okay.
I know people are gonna be upset. Oh well, it is what it is.
That's
But the
fine.
thing I
Pizza's
was
pizza.
frustrated with, we
Yeah.
ordered the pizza. I know it takes, if you don't know about deep dish pizza, it takes 30 to 45 minutes to cook, right? And so I knew this was happening. So I timed it. So when we got back to the hotel, we should be able to pretty much show up and the delivery guy will be giving us our pizza as we're walking near the hotel.
Yep.
And I was right on my calculations, but I did not take into account that maybe the pizza guy was not going to be uh, as on time as they had quoted. So they were supposed to be there by 3:50. Half hour later, it's 4:20. I finally get the
Mm,
call. Hey, we're pulling up. I need you to come meet me down in the lobby. I'm like,
yeah.
You can't bring it up. He's like, no, I need you to bring it down to the lobby, or I need you. So we're on the 16th floor. I get down there. I'm frustrated because I'm hungry. It's not the dude's fault, but he's like, I can tell you're obviously frustrated. And he tells me a story why they can't bring the pizzas up, and I'm going to leave it off the podcast because it's not very family friendly. Let's just say an employee was taken advantage of at a hotel.
Oh wow.
And I looked at him like, no, that's not why I'm upset that you didn't bring the pizza up to the room. I'm frustrated that's 30 minutes later, you guys didn't say anything. Like,
Right.
and he's like, oh. And then it's really awkward because, like, the story was the story. And it's just like,
Right.
hmm. And so I'm like, here's a tip. I took my pizza and I just went and ate and just, oh, but
You cried in your pizza.
yeah, a little bit. But
Okay, I will say, do you know how I know that Chicago pizzas take 45 minutes?
how?
Because when I was in Chicago with my brother 10, 15 years ago, we decided we have the architecture tour starting at 1 o'clock. Like,
Yeah.
okay, let's go get pizza. We're in Chicago. So we sit down and we order pizza. We ordered it at 12:05. Didn't realize it took 45 minutes. So we got the pizza at, not kidding, like 12:47. We immediately tell them, get it to go. We run to we eat a piece, I think, and then run to the L, which is their subway, but it's elevated. Then we snarf down another piece of pizza, and then we sprinted like 6 blocks to get to the architecture tour. And we got it as basically the boat was pulling away, so we got on the boat, and my brother and I sat there in like a food nausea coma for about 30 minutes. Yeah, so I could have told you that it takes 45 minutes.
Yeah. Well, and I knew it took 45 minutes,
At
but I
least
didn't
we went to
realize
the
it was
right
going to
dock.
take. Yeah, I didn't realize it was going to take an hour and a half to get my
Yeah,
pizza. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Chicago
It's
Chicago pizza is not punctual.
oh my goodness. Anyhow, So then, so what did we do after that? We went to the floor, right?
Yep.
And we started playing Saw. We went to the Homebrews. That's where
Okay.
we went.
Yep.
Uh, it's nice I took pictures as we went, right?
Yeah, it's good.
So I started out on
And
Greatest
we kind of
Showman.
got separated a little bit. So we were kind of
Yeah.
going, okay. I actually never got to play Greatest Showman because it was a big line. So you have to tell me about Greatest Showman.
Okay, Greatest Showman. I want to
They're
say
both Whirlwind. So
the co-
Saw and Greatest Showman are both Whirlwind rethemes.
the coolest part. I'm showing it on YouTube right now. They
Okay.
had a banner there,
You can't really see anything, but
but it was called.
it's an FAQ, right?
Yeah, it's an FAQ. They used a whirlwind, like you said.
Yep.
Um, did they use unused whirlwind parts? It was a project saved from another whirlwind that had been parted out. It talked about the system he was using. Interesting. How much did this project cost? About $16,000 in parts and material.
Okay, I would have guessed 17, but okay.
Okay. How long did it take to complete? Over 800 hours, which they weren't done. They still had more coding to do.
Yep.
Um, who did the art? Jay French was 90%. Alex Cott 10%.
Okay.
How many people worked on this? So Jeffrey Jones worked with the artists,
Mm-hmm.
designed the basic rules, and built the physical machine. Lisa Sue Jones did the coding, light shows, and rule set. So outside of like contracting out the artwork, it's really just two people that made this one game, right? And the biggest challenge was doing coding. As far as it goes, it played like Whirlwind. Like it
Right.
was, I mean, it's Whirlwind. What else?
Yeah,
The skill
it's a
shots.
professional play field, right?
That's what's
This is
interesting.
yeah, it's a developed play field.
So because Saw is a Whirlwind as well.
Yep.
And the interesting part is the skill shot. If you know the shot on Whirlwind, you have to like kind of short plunge into the drops,
Sure.
and that gives you your skill shot. That's what it has to be for any Whirlwind like retheme or whatever, because that's how it was on Saw. That's how it was on this. I really enjoyed this game. I thought it was very well done. The art
Mm-hmm.
looked great. The whole game looked very professional, and I mean, obviously, I'm going to give it a little pass on the code,
Mm-hmm.
but it needs more meat on the bone. But other than that, but like you have one person coding and they didn't know how to code before doing this.
Right.
So I applaud them. Like the whole game feels.
Hey, didn't it also win Best of Show in the homebrew
Yes.
area? Yeah.
Yes, I
So
think it did.
it's doing something right.
It's really it is fantastic. I'm like, if you have one critique, that's the only critique is like it
Right.
needs more code. But then again, it's like she knows that she's working on code, and so I mean, it's not really much of a critique because it's in a
So is this like a husband-wife team or is this
yes.
a
Mhm.
okay.
So
And so obviously this seems like a passion project for them.
yep,
Like they are a big fan of Greatest Showman.
yep,
Yeah.
very much so. And then the funny part is like because my father also asked, he's like, can they make these? Like, aren't like the actors gonna like sue them for using likeness? Like, as long as they're not selling
For
the project,
nonprofit, yeah, for
yeah,
nonprofit fan use, you can do it. Yeah.
yes. So anyhow, it kind of made me chuckle because it's something that we know inside the hobby as a
Yep.
community, but
Right.
like someone standing outside, like, how'd they make this without getting in trouble? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Mhm.
Um, and then I played Saw. Holy crap!
So that's great. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And our buddy Glenn, I
Glenn
still
Wechter did the sound on
yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's great. Like
Yes,
okay. Speaking of someone who's not a horror guy, I'm not. It does
yeah,
nothing for me.
same.
However, I did watch Friday the 13th on TV the other day, the first one, and I already knew who the killer was. But I watched it. I'm like, it is laughably not scary. Like
Yeah.
it's like nothing about it is scary. You're just like, "Oh, okay, I know it was groundbreaking for 1981 or whenever it came out, but it's really interesting. But anyway, keep going. So Saw,
So I guess this is a question though too. Is like
okay,
Saw had 5 people working on it. They had a dedicated
hmm
artist. They had Glenn is the dedicated sound guy. It was a team of people that came together
right,
to make this game. And honestly, this game felt more professional than some manufactured games I played.
yeah,
And I'm not going to point any name or point anything out, but really, honestly, the concepts in this game, even with it being a redesigned Whirlwind,
yeah,
the concepts in this game were pretty amazing, and it shot really great for a retheme. It just the coding felt great. It felt like a full game.
hmm
It almost felt like it was in the wrong section.
Right.
because as we
If
went to
you
go
didn't
play other
know
homebrews, yeah,
if you didn't know, you would assume this was this was a cornerstone game. Like, if you don't know the difference. I I will give the huge caveat, though, is homebrews have the ability to do whatever they want without licensing interference.
Yep.
Okay. So imagine what some of these games that have notoriously challenging licensing, like imagine a James Bond game
yeah,
with being able to use all of the Bond assets. And even Ellen talked about, some of the challenges with the Marvel themes. And okay, they do a great job. They do a great job. But like with the Hulk, the only thing they had was the eye, which is why you have that hurry up thing with the eye getting angrier at you.
yeah.
I mean, it works. They were able to work with the constraints. But that's always the challenge when you have a homebrew is that you don't have to deal with that. So you can do whatever. And imagine a Star Wars if you could use whatever clips you want.
Yeah. Well, and granted, with it being a homebrew, there is some leniency on stuff. Is like
Yep.
they have a giant bear trap. I've never seen the Saw movies.
Yeah.
Like Scott said, I'm not
It's
a
not my
huge
thing. Not my thing.
yeah. And so they have this. It's called the reverse bear trap, I guess, in the movie.
Hmm.
And this thing is on top of the pinball machine, and they've got a pneumatic tube hooked up to it with pressured air, and the thing opens and closes during certain things. And then I guess there's also I never saw any of this. Like I didn't get deep enough in, I guess. But there's also like smoke that comes billowing out of the top of the game too. It's just it's very immersive. And we were joking about like, well, if they decide to sell this game to like Spooky or whoever,
Hmm.
how are they going to get those tanks on there? Are
It's
people going
also
to?
not okay. It's also not cost effective. These
Yeah,
games, like
yeah,
the bill of material that they have on these games, is unlimited. It's whatever you want to spend for it.
yeah.
So, and there's there are a lot of reasons why passion projects can look amazing, and it's a combination of licensing and unlimited budget.
And then the next game I played was Jake Danzig, his
Okay, yeah,
Dukes of
his Dukes of
Hazard.
Hazzard thing,
Dude, love Jake.
it's
He is
awesome.
like the nicest dude,
Yeah,
and
and
love his dog
his
Jesse.
dog is super awesome. Yeah.
Yes, and it was great just having him chill with us.
Yep.
He had to zip off for a minute, and yeah, he didn't come back.
I
But
yeah, I saw him around the. And I always said hi to Jake. Said hi to Jesse. They
can
sat
I say
next to
that
me. Yeah.
that Dukes of Hazard is pretty cool? So he took an old Paragon and
Yep.
turned it into Dukes of Hazard.
And it's fun. Yeah.
It's
I
fun, and
If
he
you grew up
actually
watching the Dukes of Hazzard like I did,
yeah.
as a 9-year-old kid, I mean, it's total nostalgia. It's great.
But he also updated it too, so you could get multi-ball in it, which you can't
Mhm.
do with Paragon. And
Yep.
I got to multi-ball, and it was very rewarding. A little difficult just because if you've ever played Paragon, you have to like spell Paragon to get some special abilities,
Mhm.
and this is how you had to do it as well with Dukes of Hazard. Next, did we
Okay,
play?
I played Led Zeppelin. Did you play Led Zeppelin?
Yes,
So this is
from our
Steve
buddy
Converse's
Steve.
game. Yeah, he's a Utah guy, and he actually had. I believe he's been working on this for a long time. And I don't know if was he working on this before Steve Ritchie did his Led Zeppelin?
Yes, yep,
Okay.
actually, yeah,
So his actually has a stairway, and it's like a total cool ball. Like it's called something. It's called I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's a cool thing because the ladder is these. It's like a stepwise escalator. So you
yeah,
hit it, it drops the target, and then you shoot it again, and it locks the ball, which is impressive considering you're hitting it with velocity, and it moves up the ladder
yep,
and then you repeat that. So the coolest thing is loading up the shot with 5 balls and then you start multi-ball and the escalator goes up, the stairway to heaven goes up to the upper play field, and it's really cool.
yeah.
So it looks great. Steve, you did a great job. We did talk about having him on. He feels like the game is at least far enough along that he feels like he can talk about it with authority. So we'd love to have Steve on here soon and be able to get more ideas about how he did that and what his passion project. Ironically, it was another reclaimed Monster Bash cabinet, which which We have another guy here, Kelly Thompson. Before they made the Medieval Madness remake, he actually got a Monster Bash playfield, and he built his own Medieval Madness. Did you know
Yeah.
about that?
Yep, I did.
Yeah, he like got all the parts and did all the wiring and all that stuff, and made his own Medieval Madness, which is bananas, but impressive.
And he's found some really weird gems. Like I think he ended up with a Champion Pub cabinet, and he was peeling the sticker off of it, and there was a Monster Bash sticker underneath
Oh,
it, or
that's
something like
funny.
that. Or maybe it was vice versa. You peeled the Monster Bash, and there was Champion Pub.
Yeah.
Anywho, I'm trying to think what other games. Borderlands was really cool. Um,
Did you play Borderlands? Because the line was always too long. So
yeah, I didn't get to play Borderlands, but I watched it, and the
it
whole
had
playfield.
it had a cool thing, like a
Yeah,
labyrinth type thing where the playfield moved on you, and you could um not labyrinth, the David Bowie thing, like the old wood game that with the dials where you're you're moving the playfield to move the ball.
and then I'm trying to think
Uh,
what else was there. I
the,
played like
the,
a
there were a few
tat.
others. There was
Yeah,
Harry Potter. At
uh
least
huh.
it had the diary. It's still very early, but it looks cool.
Nightmare Before Christmas
Yep,
by
we played that. That
Mark.
was fun.
I can't remember Mark's
I
last name, but
yeah.
it's a good one. I'm trying to think what else. There was some kind of like tattoo like tarot reader card game, and it was good. The problem was that the bottom right flipper wasn't working, so
Yep.
it's hard to kind of figure that one out. They had Overwatch. I never had to play that one because it had a long line too, but
Yep.
it was pretty impressive from what I saw. And then the one that I absolutely just fell in love with, and maybe it's because it just hits the nostalgia button so hard
Mm-hmm.
that it broke the console, was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Tony Hawk's Skater looked really good. The shots, they are good. They still need to be refined a little bit,
Yeah,
mainly because on Tony Hawk's, when you're playing the video game, the cool thing about it is chaining shots together,
yeah.
like are tricks. And so if they're able to dial it in a little bit more, so the shots are just a little smoother, you could chain them together. But
Well,
it was really good. Like a couple cool concepts where you shot it and it went up to a vertical playfield and there's a flipper there. And
yep.
so it was impressive.
And the other thing too is Nick, we posted a video to our Facebook and whatnot, so go and check it out. But
Yep.
it was kind of from Cog Connections, did a video um on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. No, sorry, Cool Toys.
Yep.
There were so many content creators. It was amazing. Cool
Right.
Toys. So check out their interview. But he was talking about how he wanted more of a Tony Hawk game first and then pinball second. So like the obviously you're playing a pinball machine, but he wanted more thematically it to
Mhm.
be Tony Hawk.
Talk about the skateboard.
The skateboard's amazing. You shot it's like the Avengers spinner, if you can imagine that,
Mhm.
the Doctor Strange thing.
Well,
But the way that he had it positioned and
two
everything,
posts that rotated.
what happened was is it had the skateboard, and
Yep.
then you could spin the disc one way, which if you know skateboarding terms, it was a front shove it. If you spin it the other way, it was a back shove it. If you shot it underneath the skateboard and spun the skateboard around, that was a kickflip. And then if you shot around it, there was a little loop, like a 180 horseshoe that brought it through the backside middle of the skateboard and spin it the other way. That was a heel flip. And then you could do like variable flips and stuff like that if you could really get good at it. The really cool feature, as you were talking about, there was a vertical playfield. If you could get up there, and to the left there was a ramp that it came down and jumped off that ramp like you were coming down a big skateboarding ramp and then jumping off into the out lane. And then if you held up the flipper, it would shoot it back into play.
Right.
And
Like kind of like the dead bounce from Foo Fighters. Yeah.
yes, and just the whole concept. If you've never played Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, maybe this doesn't interest you, but like all
It
the
was cool.
objectives, yeah, it was
Cool.
based around like things you would do in the game, like collect
Yep.
tape and collect the letter skate and score a certain amount of points. It was all thematically so on point. It
Mhm.
just it felt fantastic. And like the other thing he was saying too, because he didn't want it to look polished. He wanted to look like the red rail in the game. He wanted to look like the half pipes and stuff like that. So I applaud that creative choice.
Right.
because it did feel a little disjointed as a pinball machine,
Yep.
but as a Tony Hawk themed, like, we're
I can
going
see that.
this right. Yeah, and so I really loved it. It was right next to our friends, the Electric Playground. So we see Electric Playground. Rob and Alex are there. Alec is there, and we get to check out the topper. It's
Mhm.
amazing.
And I'm wearing their
Just
hat. It's a
yep,
cool hat.
amazing hat. And it was just an awesome experience. Like, they were very grateful for the episode we were able to do with them, and I really had fun doing that episode. It was a fun episode to do.
Mhm.
Anywho, so it was cool to see that. Also, Friday the 13th.
Yeah, and you know what? Okay, that also, if you didn't know any better, you would assume that was a Cornerstone game.
Yeah, it shot well. I don't. I think it was original layout too,
Yeah, it
if I
was.
remember correctly. So I mean, great games all the way around.
Yeah.
And so, and then we went to
And
the
by the way, the Electric Playground, like, go and look at their top. Like, they are really cool in person. If you
yeah
want to get a special topper for your game, they did one out. And if you want to get the Twilight Zone one, it's really cool. There's like a wire form that takes a ball around. It's cool.
yeah. Then we went to the 40 years of pinball seminar,
Yep.
which was interesting because it felt like it was all either previous employees of Stern, or there was, I think
And
I
Jack.
counted, was there only two people there that didn't actually work for Stern at one point? Larry DeMar
Yeah.
and I can't remember the other person, that maybe
I
Bill
can't
Grubb,
remember. Yeah, probably Bill, but
but it almost felt like, don't get me wrong, they gave credit due to Stern on keeping stuff alive, but it felt like it kind of focused on other games,
well,
which is
okay.
fine because, like, Gary Stern did a 40 years of Stern
Yeah,
pinball,
yeah.
like, right after that.
Which was, yeah, it was good. The the challenge with it was it seemed to be, I wish they were a little more focused on that episode,
Yeah,
on that seminar, because it was a 2-hour seminar and they spent 90 minutes introducing people.
yeah. And you got 8 people.
Yeah, and so it would have been great if they're like, "Okay, you have 3 minutes. Tell us why you're here. Like, what did you do for pinball?" So that would have been a little nicer if it were streamlined. Um, that was it was still interesting seeing things, and this is probably the last time Pat is on is doing this, I'm betting.
Yeah.
You know,
So
it's
here was the panel. It was Larry DeMar, Bill Grupp,
yep.
Steve Ritchie,
Uh-huh.
Chris Granner, which
Yep.
actually I think Chris is one that,
May-
once
mm,
Williams was done, I think he was
Okay.
done. No, actually he came back and he did Simpsons, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Keith Johnson,
Mhm.
Greg Ferreris, which was the head art guy at Stern. He just barely
Mhm.
retired. Roger Sharp and Jack Guineri, which I don't think ever worked at Stern, but he sold a bunch of Stern
He
product.
still he was actually the biggest dealer.
And the host was Pat Lawler, and it was like you said, it was too much preamble and not enough amble. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? But overall, it was good. The thing that made me chuckle, and you and I tried to get a picture of this. I really wish we would have got a
I
picture of
wanted to
this.
get a picture, but
Oh, so
our
badly.
phones were in our pockets and we couldn't whip it. It was at the very end when he was wrapping up.
Yeah.
It was like
So they went through like
landmark games.
yeah, landmark games. So they're going through like Space Shuttle from like
Yeah.
86. And the reason it's a landmark game is because they were so close to closing door that, like, they were putting all their chips in on Space Shuttle.
The
And
arcade industry collapsed
yes,
in 83 because there was high volume, low quality.
yep. And so when Space Shuttle turned everything around by selling thousands of units, like, oh, we can keep the lights on. And
Yep.
Space Shuttle is kind of what propelled them into the late 80s, early 90s and
Mhm.
stuff. And then I'm never going to be able to look at this game the same ever again. But Monopoly, I guess, kept the lights on for Stern,
Yeah.
which is funny because it's not revered as really much of a great game. But at that time, I guess it really flipped things around for
Well,
Stern.
okay. I would say it kept the life support going.
Life support going to come out with games like Simpsons Pinball Party
Yeah.
and Lord of the Rings. I mean,
When did Monopoly come out? I thought
like
Monopoly was later.
'01.
Was
No,
it '01? Oh, I
I will
didn't.
double check, but I am
Okay, I
pretty for
didn't
sure.
realize Monopoly was that early.
I know it's kind of weird to think. How we kind of always lump it in with some of the other ones that
I
are
thought
like,
it was like later. Oh, wow. Yeah, it was 2001. That is crazy. Okay, I would have lost that bet.
Yeah, so I mean, we have a
I've
little.
never played a Monopoly. Have you ever played a Monopoly?
Yes, and they're kind of quirky. It's a Pat Lawler design.
Mhm.
I think the thing that kind of throws it off is there's a spinning mini flipper at the upper right that just kind of spins like clockwise the whole time you're playing.
Mhm.
And I don't know. Yeah. But it's interesting because this is the game that supposedly kept the lights on at Stern for them
Mhm.
to keep on going. And so I know that we give it crap. Oh, Chris Granner did sound on this one.
No, there you
But
go.
it's yeah, we're always like, oh, Wheel of Fortune and Monopoly, haha. But it's seriously like it has a
Hey,
place in
they
history.
sold. They I
Yep.
it's okay. The only terrible game is Thunderbird.
So it sold 3,600, over 3,600 for Monopoly,
That's
which
impressive.
is impressive for especially when things are dying.
Mhm.
And maybe it's because too they got a boost from Bally Williams going under
Yeah,
and
it was the
shortly
only
before
option. Yeah.
2000. Um, it is one of those things. But the funny part is we're getting to it now. So landmark games, right? And you have all these games, and then you get to 2021, Godzilla, right?
Godzilla.
And we're like, oh, that's a landmark game. And the pictures they put in is of Sega Godzilla.
Okay, it was hilarious. It was awesome, and I don't think that this is obviously Pat. Oh, also, what about Jeff Borg?
Oh,
Designed
Jeff
a few
Borg.
games. Yeah,
Obviously, the slideshow was not
I
double checked
and
before.
okay, this is Pat. Pat said, "Hey, this is not professional. I don't have anybody." So this is Pat just doing it himself. So
Yeah.
I'm going to give him a pass. It's just me chuckling a little bit and still respecting everything they brought to the game.
Yes. Just overall, it was funny. And then
Mhm.
that night, I'd kind of stepped out at that point. I had to go grab uh my kids. I had to give them a call and talk to them
Mhm.
and whatnot. I can't remember. Did we really do anything after? I think we maybe went back to the floor for a little bit.
Um, well, did we okay, did was that when we went up to JJ's and Gary and Seth were there?
No, that was the next night.
That was the next night.
My pictures pretty much end at the 40th pinball.
Okay.
I don't know if
Yeah,
we stayed on the floor for a little bit, play some more games.
I think I went and played some games.
And then the next morning we went to Chappie's, which is a nice little restaurant there. Uh, it had like,
Actually, that's where we went before too.
oh,
It's the same
really?
restaurant. Yeah.
Delicious.
Mhm.
I went lunched at, we got up late
Okay.
enough.
They have the cleanest actually, here's a pro tip. If you want to know how clean a restaurant is, one, check out the menus. If the menus are sticky, that's a warning sign.
Yeah.
Two, check out the bathrooms. If they haven't cleaned the bathrooms, that's a warning sign.
Yeah.
This
Yep.
place was immaculate and it was really good. And they were super nice. Some
So
nice Hispanic ladies that were running it. It was awesome.
day 3 started. We went and hit breakfast. After we hit breakfast, I had been dying to play the new Funhouse, and the pinball company had brought it to Expo.
Mhm.
And so you guys are like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "Funhouse." And you're like,
Yep.
and so finally we went over there, and Larry DeMar was there. Larry DeMar
In a
was
shirt that was fun. It was hilarious because he
it
was
was
wearing the
awesome.
Funhouse shirt playing Funhouse.
And it just this
So
game
good. So
became the
good.
highlight of my expo. And it's funny because like I talked to a gentleman that's been in the arcade industry his whole life.
Mhm.
And I asked him like, "What are your thoughts?" He's like, "It plays like crap." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "There's just something missing from it." I'm like, "What do you mean there's something missing from it?" And he couldn't put his finger on it. And I think it's that same reaction as when CGC started coming out with the remakes when they're like,
Yeah, and people were like, "The flippers are different." I'm like, "Okay,
"Yeah,
maybe," but really, each game plays different. Like, my Medieval Madness plays differently than my buddy Brock's Royal Edition.
yeah."
Like, and I actually like the way mine plays better.
And that's the thing. I just had a smile on my face playing
It
this
was so
Funhouse.
good.
And I didn't even play the limited edition. I just played the classic edition.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting there looking at that price on this machine because it's
Deal of
like,
the show.
s-
Hands down, deal of the show.
oh
If you
yeah,
guys want a Funhouse remake, go get it.
yeah.
It is
Zach and Nicole
com
Many have one.
it is
Uh,
competitively priced.
oh yeah.
100%.
And I was so,
The
I kept playing and playing. You guys ended up, was like talking to,
I think we were talking to Dominique, we were talking to to Carrie, we were talking to Travis, we were talking to Larry, and you kept playing. And the steal of the show, they had one there for $6,000 that had like a little defect in the
There was some
decal.
yeah, it was a crinkle
In
in the decal by
That's
the
it.
leg.
That's it. There was a crinkle in the decal, and they had it there for $6,000.
Oh my goodness.
And
I was trying to figure out how I joked with them. I said, "I'll do it shipped." And they're like, I'm like, "I'll
no,
do it." They're like, "Yes." And I was like, "Shipped." And they're like, "No."
they're already doing that. They're already basically doing that at cost. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing. They didn't tell me, but Dominic was super nice. By the way, Carrie was super nice. The At the end of the show, I asked Carrie, I'm like, "Who bought it?" And it was a local guy who had a Camry. And Carrie is so nice. She's not only an amazing player,
Yeah.
an amazing tech. She also uh, she said she agreed to deliver this personally to the guy who bought it at the show.
Nice.
And
Class act.
that's a class act. Yeah.
So
And she plays saxophone too. So
so finally you guys had to kind of pull me away from there. You
mhm.
and I went and saw the Pin Snake guy,
Yep.
Pepe, Anthony Pepe.
Yep.
He's got these back in stock. You want to buy one.
You
They're
want to get
amazing.
them? Yep.
Have you tried yours yet?
I've not tried my snake yet,
What
but
makes me laugh though is I bought mine specifically for World Cup soccer
yeah.
because World Cup
Mhm.
soccer is like 3 layers of plastic ramps,
Yeah.
and that's the game he had there for you to test out. And seriously, it makes it's so
I
nice
still
to
haven't
play with
unwrapped
them.
my snake. It's still in my box upstairs. Don't make it weird.
I'm not gonna
But
make it weird.
I also bought like the extra microfibers, which are great because and they're cheap. It's like I can't remember how much we paid for it. It was like
A
20, 30
pack of
bucks or
three
something.
was $10.
Yeah. And I can't remember how much the snake was.
I want to say
Um,
you paid 30 or 40 for it,
yeah,
somewhere around
something
there.
like that. So we got that. Yeah, I think it was 40 plus 10. So it was a total of
Yeah,
50. And he's like, you can also just use a tube sock on there. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
that's actually smart too. I didn't really think about that.
yeah,
But super nice guy. Shout out to him. And it is. There are very few things where I'm like, you really should buy this. You should buy
yeah.
this.
You should buy this. This
Yeah.
is you need it in your
Hmm.
toolkit.
Yep.
I know people that hate taking glass off because they don't want to do anything on that glass. I'm one of those people. The less maintenance I have to do, the better.
Yep.
This makes maintenance a breeze. I had my kids doing it. Seriously, go check out Pin
Yep.
Snake. It's life changing on the
Okay.
cleaning.
We also saw Davey from Stumbler,
Yes. Yep.
and he brought me I don't know which one. It's the building with the chevron cut out of it.
So that is the subway building.
Okay, that's the subway building. So I have the subway building. Now I also have the Tokyo sign, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to install them. But
Yes.
because I'm notoriously terrible about installing mods. But Davey was super nice. Was around the show the whole time. And
That
shout out to
that dude
Davey.
is just awesome. And you know what? It's awesome that Dutch Pinball got him involved
Yep.
with doing the lighting on Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Because that just it seriously it takes that game to a more professional level.
Presentation.
But
It's
yeah,
all about presentation.
it's all
Yep.
about presentation. We after we hit Pin Snake, we hit the JJP JJP booth,
Mm-hmm.
and I played Godfather for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
You guys did Avatar. No, you did Elton John.
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to get in on Avatar this go
So
around?
okay, so I didn't, but because I spent so much time on it at the JJP invite thing,
Yeah.
I felt like I had enough exposure to it to have a good experience with it. So
Yeah.
I wanted to let the people who were there. I actually played Metallica at Stern, today or on Wednesday or Thursday. And so I didn't play it when it came to the floor because there was a lot of people who hadn't played it who wanted to come play it. So I
Gotcha.
let them get their experience with that.
Yeah, it's a really great game, and I enjoyed Godfather. It's very unique.
Mhm.
The ball paths are very unique because they keep switching around and whatnot on
Mhm.
you. After JJP, we ran into one I didn't even know that was going to be there. Space Hunt,
Space hunt.
because Pin Sound was there showcasing their
Mhm.
games with Pin Sound on it, and they had a Space Hunt there.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on this game?
Why was this made? I'm serious. Why was it made? There's like a the okay. There's like it's super tight. The shots on the left are super tight. Okay, I think Zach may have like just been having a good time when he played this game, because I was like, okay, I played it. It feels competent. The ramp feels very tight. Like the thing that you want to do is there is a ramp on the left that goes up to a fireman's pole type thing, kind of like junkyard. And it was so tight, you had to hit it perfectly to get it to go up. I played with Joel. Joel got it to go up. I didn't, but really at that point, I didn't care.
Yeah,
It's it's okay. It's a game.
yeah.
I don't know why anyone would want to buy it. There are other games in this category that would be great fits for an arcade, and I put Looney Tunes in that category. I put Ninja Eclipse in that category, and we already talked about Ninja Eclipse, right?
No,
On
we
the
haven't.
last. Okay, so we're gonna
I,
talk about Ninja Eclipse,
yeah, Space Hunt
and
was fine.
okay, it was okay, but of the three, which one would you rate a third? Wouldn't you?
What three? So you're saying Looney Tunes?
Looney Tunes, Ninja Eclipse, and Space Hunt.
Yeah, actually I'd play it sit fourth behind Saw. I mean, I just
Okay, no, I'm just talking. I'm just
I
talking
know.
like in that realm. I
Yeah,
may actually put it fourth anyway and leave three as a
yeah,
placeholder. Like
yeah.
it just
It's all
it did
right.
nothing for me. It did nothing. Like, it was pretty. It was that pink color. It looked professional. I just didn't have a good time. I just didn't have a good time shooting it.
Well, and I didn't mind shooting it. I got into the modes. The modes were enjoyable-ish.
Hmm.
Like it's very much shoot the thing we tell you to shoot.
Yeah.
Shoot the
Okay.
flashing arrows.
It is a competent game.
Yeah,
Okay, and I would go and play it on location,
yeah.
but it's just not something that I don't know why it was. It seems unrefined. This seems like there's a few refinements away from making this a fun game.
Here's the thing. I think this game is all right. It's not my favorite game.
Hmm.
It's one of those games that uh, it would not be the first on my list to buy, but I wouldn't mind renting it for a month and just kind of getting some more time on it to understand it a little better.
Okay.
But overall, it just wasn't my cup of tea. Um, but it does intrigue me to see what Hexa Pinball does next.
Okay.
Th-
It wasn't a fail. The bottom line is, even if I'm not a fan of a game, I still
yeah,
think they did a decent job in making the game.
it
Okay.
shot better than any home pin game that I've ever
Oh
played.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
It is
uh,
a professional game. It didn't connect with me. Zach, now on the other hand, Zach Mini loved it. So taste is subjective.
yep. Yeah, pinball is subjective. It really is 100%.
We
Um,
also played Princess Bride.
yes. Well, before you get onto that,
Okay.
let's try and talk about Ninja Eclipse because you brought that up.
Yeah.
I just want to say, like, congrats to Chris Turner, man. This game has flipped 180 from last time I
Yep.
played it. It feels great. I like that they went from the Zizzle cabinet to an actual pinball cabinet.
Yep.
He's genuinely taken all the feedback from the community,
Hmm.
and it's paying off because he's starting to sell these. All the ones he had
They
there
were
were
close
sold.
to selling out 100.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had stickers on all of them when I was done Saturday
Hmm.
night. Um, so yeah, like honestly, this is a really cool game, and I'm excited to kind of see where they go from here. I also think it helps too that I feel like they've kind of proven themselves,
Yep.
where they have games made. They're we've always said that play the game before you buy it,
Yeah.
unless if it
Buy a game that's available. Don't buy promises. Yes.
exactly. And so I think overall the game felt great. The graphics look really good. It's a competent company, and
Hmm.
I actually thought they had done a lot better than some other companies that were there. So
Now I will say also the guy who did the graphics for it is a Utah guy.
yep.
And I'm trying to get a hold of him because we'd love to have him on. He's actually, I think he's the same guy who did the Looney Tunes stuff too,
If I remember
which
correctly.
is why they looked like, visually they looked very similar. But that now that's not a slight. I actually, Looney Tunes was a game like I had a blast with. So it's probably the first spooky game that I'm like, actually this is something that would fit just fine in my arcade.
Yeah.
And so Ninja Eclipse, I would say that was by far the most surprising game of the show. Whereas before the show, I would not have put it on my radar for games to buy, and afterwards, I recommend it. I do. If you want to support a small local company or a small company that's starting up and legitimately doing it correctly,
Yeah.
this is a company that you may want to look at.
Yep. And I guarantee they're from Texas.
Yep.
So if you're going to TPF, really get your hands on one. If you like it, take one home with you.
Yeah, and they really are getting
If they're not
close.
sold out, because it did sound like, yeah, they're getting close to selling out.
Yeah, but he and I even asked him like, "Okay, so, like, are you are you cost positive?" He's like, "No, but we're making progress."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Good." That's legitimately because okay, the secret to most small companies, by the way, is that most companies lose money for the first 5 years
Yeah.
because it takes that long to for a proof of concept before you start turning it around.
Yep. We then played Princess Bride, like you said. I'll start off on this one. I really like the game.
Mhm.
And I felt like it's probably the best P3 so far, as in presentation. I love the theme. Um,
I would say it's tied with Weird Al for me.
yeah, I think you're right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
So it's
Princess,
solid. It is solid.
it's very solid. Um, I really like the Cliffs and Insanity. That's a really
Mhm.
cool.
It's a
They're
cool effect that
dedicating,
they take the ball
yeah,
and they go up the cliff.
they're dedicating like one mech to just one mode though, so it does intrigue me on that. Here's the thing with P3 that I'm having a rough
Okay, but
time
the
with.
Balrog is also one mode.
Yeah, true. Um, the thing with Princess Bride and with all P3s is there
Mhm.
needs to be I know that like the bottom 2/3, there's not really much you can do to change it because it's the screen or
Mhm.
whatever. But when we were talking to Jerry over these last couple years, it made it sound like you could put floating stuff over the bottom third.
Well,
And
Heist has a crane.
true, but I'm talking like if we could get a ramp that ties back in to
Yeah.
just a little more action on that lower half. Because the problem is I know that these aren't the same games. They're very, very different in presentation wise, but with everything being in that back third, they feel like the same. They visually feel like they're the same game.
Right.
I
If
know,
there's a
I
way
know.
of incorporated, like, even
Yeah,
if it's like rollover targets or something, having some sort of it does feel like the middle third of the play or the lower 2/3.
yeah,
It feels beautiful presentation wise, but it still feels a little bit like a missed opportunity on some level.
yeah. So overall, I liked it. Josh Coolger was kind of mean though, dude. Like he, not mean as in like a jerk, but like I couldn't finish Cliffs in the Sanity. Like I started it twice and I choked. He's like, "Man, that's the easiest mode in the game. You can't pass that." And I'm like, "Thanks."
Okay, well, he's right. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
he gave you a hard time.
yeah. Then you and I went to the Jaws seminar
Yep.
and got to see the
By the way,
potato mech.
it was still fun. I will say it was still
Yeah.
fun. Uh, P3, it is one of those things where if that's your thing, it's a good option.
Yeah.
The one huge suggestion I will make for P3 though, you need to develop a storage option. You cannot just have these
Yeah.
people pull these things out because they are expensive things and put them back in a cardboard box that they shipped in.
Well, and
Like,
Ian Harrow
pro
are
tip,
actually
just
made
have that as an option.
he has a design for one that he made. So
Mhm.
if you're willing to make your own, there is options out there. But
Okay,
I
okay,
agree with you.
okay, so spend $200. Like,
Yeah.
the whole cabinet thing comes with, I would say that would take it to the next level where it
Yeah.
feels more like a finished product.
Yeah. I
If you
agree.
have, okay, Apple doesn't send you ear pods and says, "Okay, now keep them in the cardboard box it's shipped in." It's shipped with a container. So charge a few $100, have some sort of shipping container, and keep it as storage so it still looks nice.
Yeah. One thing, and I know that maybe this is asking too much. If you're a manufacturer and you feel like we're shortchanging on some of the stuff and you
Tell
want
us
us to,
why. Tell us where we're wrong.
not only that, maybe this is too much to ask. Ship us a game. I wouldn't mind borrowing a game for a month or so and getting more hands on. Because the problem is yeah, we're Expo, but there's usually lines at these things, so I get to maybe one, maybe two games on this.
And we try not to, not to be like the dude in front of me who played like Elvira for 30 minutes and I finally walked away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, like Stern and JJP were smart. They got us
A
out there
lot.
for Avatar, for John Wick, we got our hands on the game. It
Mhm.
changed my opinion of it because I got to play 4 to
Right.
6 hours on a game where it's just, oh, I got a game pretty much dedicated
Mhm.
to myself that I just got to play. And once you get 20, 30 games on this, you get a better understanding.
Okay, bring us out and show us the game then. That's another way of doing it.
Yeah, bring us
I
out to
mean,
Chicago. Maybe
yeah,
it's cheaper than shipping me a game.
right, yeah,
I
but
don't know.
yeah, yeah, you can ship me a game, it's fine.
Yeah,
But this
Pinball
is
Company. Funhouse sucked. I
oh,
need you to ship
100%,
me a
yes, we need yeah,
Funhouse.
yeah. Dominic, yeah, we need no, 100%. Okay, okay, we kid, but at the same time, this year has been great
Yes.
for them incorporating access to content creators because we can have a more informed opinion on the game with the right environment and the right time.
Yep. I agree. So we went to the Jaws seminar. Fantastic.
Mhm.
Very in depth. You can rewatch all these videos.
Now you know why the shark doesn't eat the ball. It
Yeah,
looks
it
like
looks like a
it
giant.
it
Yeah,
looks like a potato that someone tried to make a potato lantern out of.
yeah.
Yeah.
It looks pretty rough. The gentleman that offered the ridiculous amount of money for that mech, I
Mhm.
think Harrison Drake's still looking for you.
Yes. If
If you
someone
do
wants
want
to
to still
pay, it
buy
was
that
like
mech,
$15,000, yeah.
yeah, something like 10 or 15, something. It
Yeah.
was like, yeah, Harrison Drake's looking for you. So just give him a hit him up. He wants to sell you that mech.
Mhm.
And then after that, you and I went to JJP's or JJ from
JJ's. Yeah.
Game Exchange, and we ran into Gary Stern and Seth Dave. Oh, sorry. Before we went there,
Yeah.
I do have a little blip. Before we went there, I had to step out of the Jaws seminar because I had a call, and my call was only like 5 minutes long. But as I was walking back in, I ran into Charlie Benante. Is that how you say his last name? The drummer of Anthrax. He was standing there along with Tim Sexton and Wason, and we all got talking. And really, really nice dude. It's just funny. It's funny, like when you go to Pinball Expo, you run into these people like Todd McCullough, uh,
Mhm.
which I hope he's having safe travels.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
supposed to
yeah, we
join us
tried to get
tonight.
Todd on tonight, but he was traveling, being like the big star he is.
Yeah, he had more important with getting. Nah, shout
Yeah,
out to Todd,
he
but
was going to a game, yeah.
yeah, but it was funny because like I'm sitting there and we just get talking about the most random things, and it's like he has me listen to this band called Clowncore. If you haven't listened to these guys, it's very unique and strange.
Okay,
Uh,
I think that I would probably want to at least try an edible gummy before I listen to that again. It's these weird it is the most bizarre thing I've seen in a long time, and I
it
can't look at a
is,
porta potty the same.
yeah. When you're recording your music videos in a porta potty, you know it's going to be unique, right?
Mhm.
Anyway, really nice dude. It was funny to have some of the conversations that we had. Like Charlie, thanks for just down to earth guy, and that's what I love about these things. You just ran to Mark Tremonti from Creed last year, and it was just a casual conversation about guitars and stuff.
Mhm.
Anywho, then we went to JJP's JJ from Game Exchange Suite. Doesn't help that
Yeah.
one letter off, and Gary and Seth were there, and Gary was asking people like, why are you spending this much money on a pinball machine? And it was
Well,
kind of
oh,
funny.
okay, I had like a 20-minute conversation with him.
Yeah.
It was interesting in talking to him and Seth
Yep.
and talking about like how to grow like Stern Army things in areas that don't have a Stern Army thing. So this is a brainstorming thing, but this is something that Seth is quite interested in finding ways of increasing access to pinball in areas that are low density pinball. So we don't have any definitive answers, and we don't want to give it away. We'll let Seth talk about it,
Yeah.
but we did bounce some ideas off him, and it'll be interesting to see if any of those take.
Yep. And then we kind of wrapped up the night with dollar games. It was
Yep.
you. So we kind of had a core group this whole show. Me, my father-in-law Jeff,
Mm-hmm.
you. We had Craig Bobby from the Pinball Show. If you
Mm-hmm.
haven't heard Craig Bobby or his rendition of the Bond theme, you need to go check that out. And then Julie Talbot had joined us. She's kind of
Mm-hmm.
become part of our friend group over the past couple of years. And then we kind of have people in out, but that was kind of the core group that went and played dollar games.
Mm-hmm.
And the free play area was amazing. I think like
There were a
95
lot of awesome, and you know what? To Rob's credit, they all worked.
Yep.
Like
I think there was only like 5 that weren't working while we were there.
okay, there were a few, but for the most part, they were all working, and it looked nice.
Yeah.
I remember a couple years ago when we went, and the free play area looked like the land
It was
of like misfit toys.
It
It
looked
was,
like the Pinball Hall of Fame.
you know,
Oh, sorry.
um, but no, these were all in working order, and it was fun. It was so fun to actually see the games. Now, what Josh is n Josh, the next night, he actually missed. We were playing dollar games, but we made a modification to the rules. So
Yeah,
you still got the $3 or $4 or whatever for winning, but the penalty for losing was you actually had to pose like the back glass, and we gotta take a picture. And so if you think of all the ridiculous back glasses out there, it totally changed the dynamic of dollar games in that it was nice to win, you liked it, but you really didn't wanna lose because
yeah,
it was public shaming at that point.
yes. But it was kind of funny. It made me feel good about myself when you guys were like, I won the first 3 games, and you guys are like, "Josh, if you don't knock it off, we're kicking you out of the group." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay." Like, but it was very fun. It was, the highlight probably had to be Dragon.
Yeah.
That game is so ridiculous and so
Oh,
random.
yeah, it's hilarious. There's like 5, like, cobra targets that you have to hit and go down, and the back glass is awesome. If anyone has, like, a spare dragon back glass. Oh, okay, I didn't tell you about my story. So, I did go to, the Stern tour,
Okay.
okay? So, we went to the Stern tour. I actually didn't have a ticket, but apparently the tickets were only for the
The
bus, so we
bus.
just
Yep.
drove there. So we just drove there and hopped through. And at the very end of the tour, I bought a shirt, and I bought it was a neon, the neon Godzilla thing. Just think of like the Godzilla 70, but with
Okay.
the neon thing. And I was super excited because like they only had them at the factory. They're going to be available later online, but they only had them at the factory for this thing. And I got it home, and the next day I'm like, I'm gonna wear this. I put it on, and it felt like I was squeezing, like, I was being suffocated by like one of those shapewear things.
Uh-huh.
Where I'm trying to, I put it on, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? So I wear, I typically have a t-shirt underneath my t-shirt. So I typically try to buy some of the shirts bigger so it'll accommodate that. And so I usually buy like an XXL if I just want it to fit, but not too tight. And I put on, I looked down, it was a large. And I'm like, "Ah, they gave me the wrong thing." I think it's like in my thought process, it's like, oh, it's an XL and they just went to the bin over and got it. And so I was like, ah, crap. So I texted Zach Sharp and I was like, hey, just is anyone coming over from the factory today? Because they gave me the wrong thing. He's like, no, let me look at this thing. So we I just said, no, it's fine. I'll just go down to the floor and I'll swap for a different shirt. So we ended up I swapped for a different shirt, and they were super nice about it, and they got that. And so I ended up getting a Jaws one. So it says Jaws, and on the back it goes Stern, Stern, Stern. So it's kind of fun. Like the nah, nah.
Yeah.
But I found out Julie texted me today, and she said, I figured out the mystery of the forgotten shirt. She bought the same shirt.
Oh,
Hers was a large, mine was a double XL.
she
So
ended up with yours, didn't
so
she?
she ended up with mine. So I actually still have so I just paid her for the shirt. I'm like, "Hey, when it comes online, you can go ahead and buy it." But I ended up with 2 extra shirts, from Stern, which was hilarious. But
That
that
is
was my,
hilarious.
my Stern, shirt story.
Which is funny though, because I bought a hoodie for my son last year. We
Right.
asked for extra large, and we didn't realize it till after we got home, but it was a medium.
Yeah.
So when you go on the Stern tour and you buy stuff, make sure what you
Okay.
buy is the right
Okay.
size.
That was my fault. I
Yeah.
grabbed the wrong shirt. It just happened that Julie and I bought the same shirt because
Yeah.
we were in the same bus carload.
Yep.
Um Okay, we didn't do Pinball Olympics this year.
Nope.
Pinball Olympics are always a blast. I was
Yep.
pretty exhausted though because I only had really 2 full days, and I really stayed up um, late every night.
Yeah.
On Sunday actually or Saturday, I went to bed at like 2 in the morning, and then we got up at like 4 in the morning. Okay, so why did you like left without us? We were getting up and we thought we were taking you to the airport. What happened? Why'd you go early?
So our flight was an hour before you guys.
Really?
And yeah,
What
uh-huh.
time?
So we were a little bit before 7.
Oh, okay. So that's why, because we got up and we're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, we're ready to go," and you're like, we already left." Okay.
Yeah, and you guys hadn't left yet, and, you did actually get to the airport and through
Mhm.
security, and we still had another 30 minutes before we started boarding, so
Okay.
it probably would've been
So we
fine.
coulda, but you wanted to be safe. Okay, all
Yeah,
right,
I
that
wanted to
makes
be
sense.
safe, so especially where I fly from Chicago into Phoenix, and then
And
Phoenix
then
flies
fly
into
to
my
Vernal.
home to
Yeah.
Vernal, and on Sundays, there's only 1 flight from Phoenix into Vernal,
Yeah.
so if I get stuck in Phoenix,
Yeah,
I'm
you
there
don't
for
wanna
our
mess
full
with that.
24 hours.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't wanna mess with that.
And so, anywho, yeah, that's why we kind of bailed. No, oh, quick shout out to Tony
Yep.
Scootsaderos. Thanks for bringing me dozen cannolis. I was like, I need some cannolis. If you bring them to me, can I buy them from you? He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. So he brought me 2 dozen cannolis. The dude was so
Hey,
nice.
did you get him home? Because I totally, like, like, you went to bed, and I totally forgot to come up and eat one.
Yeah, yeah, I took them all home with me,
Oh,
and
okay. I
I
see,
was
I
so
got
excited to surprise my wife with
cannolis.
Scoots cannolis, and she's like, "Do these have almond in them?" And so I'm texting,
Is
Tony,
she
I'm like,
allergic, or she doesn't like the taste?
"She's allergic, like,
Oh, they all have
definitely
almond.
allergic."
They have
Uh,
almonds.
and I'm like, "Do these have almond in 'em?" And he's
Mhm.
like, "A little bit." And he's like,
Yeah.
"I wouldn't chance it, but you might be safe taking it." So she actually took a Benadryl
Oh,
and ate the cannoli and thought it was delicious.
okay, alright,
Granted,
well,
that was
they are
24 hours
delicious.
later.
They are
So,
delicious, yeah.
yeah, we went through 20 cannolis in 3 days or something like that. It was granted, these were minis, these aren't the full sizes.
Yep.
But, yeah, they were fantastic, but
Okay, grand take so we're at 80 minutes. So,
a
grand take-home wraps. What are you thinking of Expo?
actually,
Oh,
give me a
you
1
want
minute
one, okay, you
synopsis
want this.
of, let's make a deal. How'd that
Oh,
go?
okay.
Because I bailed out halfway through because
Oh, it's okay. It's fun. I was getting so tired toward the end, and
yeah,
and Dwight really wanted people there, so it was like a let's make it. Do you want behind box one, box two, box three? But it was fun. Like he pulled people up, and everybody had tickets. At the very end, when they were going for the final round, we didn't get. We knew it was the final round, and I was tired, and so I
yeah.
I actually left at that point. But I felt good. We supported Dwight. He was there. Actually, I came up at the very end because I needed to get a hat for someone, and it's Dave. He bought a hat like last year, and we
Dave
totally forgot.
Falgren.
Yeah, yeah.
We
So
we
so I
made a trade. We
yeah.
didn't He didn't necessarily buy, we made a trade.
Okay,
So,
all right, trade. So I brought it back, and then Dwight's there's like, "Oh, I didn't call you." I'm like, "Dwight, it's fine." Like he's like, "You didn't get anything." I'm like, "It's fine, it's fine." I'm glad people got, other
yeah,
people can get experiences. I don't need stuff. We're good.
yeah.
So that was fun. Okay, we uh we do have a funny story about hats though. So we met an awesome guy named George Gomez.
Yes,
Who
there's another George Gomez
Yeah,
out there.
so Josh thought that it was George Gomez from Stern, and so Josh gave George Gomez from Stern 2 hats.
Okay, no, but
And
here's the
okay,
thing
you
though,
you
okay.
you tell the story. You tell the story.
Okay, so we did our form through Facebook, through
Yeah,
Google Docs, right?
yeah.
And someone accidentally sent the same form twice. It was George Gomez. I looked at the email. I'm like, well, this isn't George's business email. Well, this is his
Maybe
personal
it's
email.
personal. Yeah.
And so I message George since we have his number, and I'm
Mhm.
like, George, I got your hat order, but it came through twice. Do you want one or two? And he said two. And I'm like, and the small medium is fine, right? And he's like, yeah, that works great. And it's funny because the whole time, because I'd messaged George Gomez with Stern,
Yeah.
and
Oh, so
so
you had even contacted George.
yeah, so he
That's
knew the hats were
hilarious.
coming and everything. So I made specific, made sure to set them aside and everything. We get to Stern on Thursday for the
Yeah.
Metallica stuff. I give him his hats. He tries them on. They say they fit great. He's very happy with them, and he zips off because we've got people coming in and out all
Yeah,
day,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's busy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, was it Friday or was it Saturday?
It was at the mixer. It was at the
Was it at
didn't
the
he
mixer?
come at the mixer. He's like, "Where are my hats?"
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, I'm no." It was when we were playing at the JJP booth. That's where it was.
Oh, okay.
It was not the mixer. It was the JJP booth.
Okay, because I
He,
talked
he,
to him at the mixer. Like, I came and
oh
he came and talked to me at the mixer. And by the way, George Gomez is also a cop from Reno
yes.
in law enforcement.
And so he like he's like talking to me at JJP's booth, and he's like, "Oh, Scott says you have the hats," and I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "You have some for George Gomez." I'm like, "Yeah, I gave them to George Gomez at Stern," and he's like, "No, I'm George
I'm
Gomez."
George. Yeah.
And I'm laughing because I'm like, "Oh, you got like George Gomez's tag? Like, how'd you pull that off?"
Yeah.
And like, Gomez actually signed Stern Gomez signed
Right.
Cop Gomez's, and so
Yep.
I thought he was joking. He's like, "No, I'm really
I'm
George
really George
Gomez."
Gomez. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
well, this feels really awkward because small medium's not a very common size, and so I
it's this
didn't make
medium.
any
Yeah.
extra,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it just
Okay. So
sorry.
George, we're getting your hats to you. So,
Oh,
sorry about that.
I've already got an
Yeah.
order, so
Yeah.
I've been keeping in contact with him.
Yeah.
Okay, overall thoughts. Expo was fantastic.
Okay.
I love that there's enough space to move,
Yep.
yet it still feels very homey. This is the biggest convention, and it shows, right?
Yep.
Like this is the only place you're going to rub shoulders with these all these industry types, along with celebrities and stuff like that. And I know that there's people going down to Texas Pinball Festival and whatnot, but like seriously, if you're making a homebrew and you want to break into the industry, make your calling card
Come.
and go to Expo. There's so many people there willing just to sit down and listen to what you have to say. And it just overall, I love going to the show because no other place would I be able to play Alice in Wonderland along with Space Hunt and um, Ninja Eclipse and Funhouse, and it just seems like, and the lines were relatively good so long as they had enough games there.
Oh yeah.
Like even the P3s, they only had like 3 games there, but it's
The long
still
lines were only for the limited, like, 1 or 2 versions of that game. For the most part, you could get on almost any game.
yeah within about 15 minutes at the longest of a wait. But overall, fantastic show. I enjoy going every year. It's kind of one of my like that's what I'm gonna do.
Mhm.
As long as I can keep up momentum and whatnot, I feel like I'm always gonna be there. And yeah, I just overall fantastic show, Rob Burke. Fantastic to all those that are involved in it. It's such a great show. What's your takeaway, Scott?
S 'kay, I would say exhausting. I felt that it was a little bit like going to Disneyland, and I didn't ride all the rides.
Yeah,
Like, I felt really that, and I stayed up late most of the time, and you know what? It was kind of fun to check out a little bit and go and do, dollar games and just meet some people, talk with friends. I feel I feel bad that I couldn't make it to some of the seminars because I really was either just tired or I needed a break or I had some other obligations. So I didn't, there were some behind the scenes on games that I didn't get to. And I feel bad about that. I'm hoping to go back and watch them if we can find them because it would be nice to get a little more behind the scenes on some of the games.
I agree.
But I felt like I was busy the entire time and I still didn't see everything.
Same.
So it's great. I agree with Josh. If you're really interested in being in the industry, go and talk to go and talk. Come and talk to industry people. They are very passionate about what they do.
Yep.
And they're very friendly too. I still have been overwhelmed by, even in the short amount of time that we've been doing this podcast, how welcoming and willing people are to talk about their work as long as it's released, obviously.
Yep. Exactly.
So it's great. Okay. Game of the Expo.
For me,
Yeah.
probably Funhouse. I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked at
Okay.
how solid it was and how good it played.
I'll put Metallica there. I know it's a little unfair because it's a $13,000 game and it's a proven game, but the way that they reinvented that game was impressive,
You're
incredible.
talking about the premium's 9,700 or whatever, and I guarantee you can probably get one for 95
Yeah. Okay.
if you ask a
Still,
distributor.
I'm talking the LE. Okay. Um, However, I will say the steal of the show, hands down, is Funhouse.
Yeah.
That is a total value for like biggest bang for your buck game, and that is coming from someone who's typically not a huge Lawler layout fan.
Yeah.
We had so much fun on that game, and it looks amazing. What the pinball company did with that game is amazing. And if they are taking the torch and doing the next version of the remakes, I say I'll go all for it.
No, I mean, no, it sucks. If you want to prove me wrong, Pinball Company,
Yeah, send me a game and let me evaluate it. Yes.
yes, exactly. Or
Yeah.
Zach and Nicole Many at Flipping Out Pinball, because
Yeah.
they also sell it. So
Yeah. Okay. In all sincerity, this is a great game.
yeah,
It's absolutely a great game, and they were able to really give Chicago Gaming Company a run for their money,
yeah, they really did.
and that's not easy considering the high bar that Chicago Gaming Company set with their four.
Well, and one of the big concerns is because it's funny because like really quickly, like we played ABBA and we've played
Mm-hmm.
um Queen,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny because like they're using planetary pinball parts. So these are William design parts.
Yeah.
And so it's funny how much different
Yep.
a game that isn't William parts versus what is. And they both feel like solid games, but it just feels like the Williams recreation, they were solid. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
I had to put a little extra effort in moving the cabinet around when I was trying to nudge and stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
versus a Stern. And so
They are solid games, and
yeah,
really, I'm tempted to get one, put it down here.
I would really that's what,
Mm.
like seriously, if I had the means to get that one that was for 6, if I had
Mhm.
the means, I would have brought it home with me.
Yeah.
But, you know, they kind of frown on those on carry-on luggage. So,
Yeah, and they don't really fit in an overhead compartment, and
think if I checked it, they could have put it on underneath.
yeah, you could try.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. All right. We're
Okay,
wrapping it up.
yeah, seriously, I just went and just looked at their website and just seeing that, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, the classic edition, the classic edition, the MSRP is 7,499, and that's a deal. It is.
Yeah. Yep. It is. So, if you want, like I said, just contact Zach and
Mhm.
Nicole Many. Tell them Loser Kid sent you
Yeah.
their way.
Yep.
Maybe they'll even like throw in a shirt for you or whatever. So
Maybe.
maybe. All right. If you want to get a hold of us, we are loserkidpinballpodcast at gmail.com. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, Twitch, YouTube, all at Loser Kid Pinball. Silverballswag.com/loserkid. I know that some people wanted to support us. There was one gentleman that was very nice, came up, handed me a 50 and was like, I don't do social. I don't do this or that. He's like, I listen to your guys' podcast because that's like his advanced technology I do. And I want to support you guys. Here's this. And I was like, oh,
Wow.
thanks. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. And he's like, no, I want to support you guys. If you do want to support us, one way you can do is through Silverball Swag.
They're awesome shoes. I got so many comments on the Vans, which I
Yeah.
didn't think I would, but they look great and they do look retro cool.
When I feel like you get something for supporting us as well.
Yeah.
You get not only do you support us, but you get shoes out of our shirt or jogging pants or whatever. So, you know what, Scott? I think that's all for us.
Yeah,
You want to give us the last word?
I want to hear your experience at Pinball Expo. So shoot us your experience and what you guys liked and what you didn't like, and we can certainly give that back to Rob and see how we can fix it. But huge thumbs up for the tournament for me, for the event for me. And I didn't even play in the tournament again, and that was like a total side thing that was going on. Like the triple drain guys were all in that tournament.
Yep. Yeah, shout out to Joel, Travis, and Tom. It was fun to hang out with Travis late on Friday night, even though he had to work early in the morning. Dude.
Yep.
Monica, it was great to see you again. It's just like going back to like a family reunion.
It is.
I mean, and some of those people I consider closer than my family. So, because some of my family's kind of weird. Anywho.
All of my family's weird. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, love you guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in 2 weeks.